and you're listening to WBAI New York, 99.5 FM, and WBAI.org. Coming up next is Ecologic with Ken Gale, and this is the late, great Pete Seeger.
Was there an Adam? Was there an Eve? Or did we evolve from what we conceived? Either way, we got what we needed when the sun shone down on the Garden of Eden.
Don't you know we're gonna have a solatopia, solatopia, solatopia. Don't you know we're gonna have a solatopia all over God's green world.
Well, we bit that apple and the garden was lost, and so we had to work to pay the cost. And so we went digging into the ground and started to burn many things we found. But
don't you know we're gonna have a solatopia, solatopia, solatopia. Don't you know we're gonna have a solatopia all over God's green world.
Well, we wanted more, we needed more. The rich got rich, the poor got poor. The fuel ran scarce, the price jumped high, and so began nuclear power time.
Don't you know we're gonna have a solatopia, solatopia, solatopia. Don't you know we're gonna have a solatopia all over God's green world.
Now we're fighting wars over oil and gas. No matter who wins, it will not last. The earth is scarred, the planet is warming. Don't you think that all of it's a great big warning?
Don't you know we're gonna have a solatopia, solatopia, solatopia. Don't you know we're gonna have a solatopia all over God's green world. Don't you know we're gonna have a solatopia, solatopia, solatopia. Don't you know we're gonna have a solatopia all over God's green world.
This is the wonderful, positive way of approaching the problem. Don't just say don't. Let's say do something good. And this is the most exciting time in the world to be living. There's never been such an exciting time. Wind power.
And that was the late Pete Seeger. I'm Ken Gale, and this is Ecologic for February 4th, 2014, here on WBAI New York, 99.5 FM, and WBAI.org. Shorter news and announcements today. We have a lot to do in the next half hour. With about 100 nuclear plants putting radiation into the air every day with their mundanely named routine emissions, and tremendous accidents like 3 Mile Island, Chernobyl, and Fukushima Daiichi sending more radiation into the global atmosphere, daily background radiation is much higher than it used to be. Alice Slater sent out an article by Sean McLernan on Law360.com that the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency is considering new radiation regulations for nuclear plants. The agency has listed 6 issues for public comment. For more information, go to www.nears.org. Now, Obama's State of the Union address did mention renewable energy. It also mentioned fossil fuel. If you follow the money, you'll see that fossil fuels get millions of dollars more in tax subsidies than all the forms of renewable energy combined. So while he may sound like he's treating all energy sources equally, the money trail shows otherwise. And the cheapest path to national energy independence is for our buildings and cars to stop wasting so much. Political will changes how buildings and cars are built, and we, you and I, change political will. Then we can take the money we save in energy, put it into the local economy, and increase the economic benefits some more. And the environmental benefits too, of course. BeyondNuclear.org has an article by Chris Williams from last month on several nuclear plants that were shut down due to ice and snow. Safety systems got shorted out. Cooling water intakes were blocked with ice. Things like that. I linked directly to that article on my EcoLinks page. According to Reuters and Commercial News Radio, Michael Bloomberg was hired by the United Nations to talk to U.S. mayors about climate change. First, note that they hired him. He's not volunteering. Second, he's a pro-fracking mayor. Fracking means more methane is burnt and sent directly into the air. When methane becomes a commodity, they call it natural gas. Burning methane creates carbon dioxide. The 10% or more that is not burnt contributes more to climate chaos than what is burnt. Much more. Plus, fracked methane contains radioactive radon, which is sent right to our kitchens and boilers. An advocate of that is who the UN hired. They have totally disconnected on what causes climate chaos and what can reverse it. It also shows what the millions of dollars the fracking companies have poured into environmental groups has done to the conversation about climate chaos. Topics like deforestation and methane are footnotes to them, and the emphasis is on one fossil fuel or another. The emphasis should be on solutions, damn it, real ones. Tyrone B. Hayes, a professor of integrative biology at the University of California at Berkeley, had his research funding cut after criticizing the herbicide atrazine and its role in frog die-offs. He was investigating the relationship between those frog die-offs and human health when the cut happened. Professor Hayes has also been a critic of Berkeley's fees for laboratory care. I linked to Paul Baskin's entire article on this from climateconnections.org on my EcoLinks page. And New York City Friends of Clearwater is having a tribute to Pete Seeger on Friday, February 21st, 6:30 p.m. at Judson Church, Washington Square South and Thompson Street. Free admission. Friday, February 21st, Judson Church. For the next 2 or 3 weeks, I will be doing a tribute to Pete Seeger right here on Ecologic. And also on my website are direct links to hear past shows on the WBAI archives. That's www.comicbookradioshow.com/eco-logic.html. There is part 1 of the Long Beach Climate Solutions show from 2 weeks ago, one on winter birding, the environmental music show in December, and you can also hear my annual winter prediction show with Time Moismiller. I checked this afternoon, it's still there. I keep hearing from people who are just listening to it now or have listened again now that his predictions are obviously true. It's now 5 years in a row that he accurately predicted how much snow and how cold the winter will be. He predicted the polar vortex increase before it happened. It used to be that shows were archived for 90 days, but lately it seems to be more like 60. So listen to Tom's show while you still can. I linked to it directly on comicbookradioshow.com. When your air or water is clean, thank an environmentalist. If not, become one. Enough said. This is Ken Gale for Ecologic, WBAI New York, 99.5 FM, and WBAI.org. And today's show is more on climate chaos. I have with me
J.K. Canepa from New York Climate Action Group and Coalition Against the Rockaway Pipeline.
And on the phone we have...
Hi, it's David Alicea from the Sierra Club's Beyond Coal campaign.
So we'll be talking about problems and solutions here. J.K., talk a little bit about your expertise there.
The boardwalk?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, I wanted to make sure that the boardwalk is part of our conversation on the 8th in Long Beach. It's a very sensitive topic out there. There was a lot of emotional... The people of Long Beach wanted their boardwalk back, and they wanted a beautiful boardwalk. And we understand that.
Right.
But at the cost of what? At the cost of countless acres of ancient, untouched rainforest. The wood that was chosen, ipe, can't be logged any other way than going into an intact rainforest. So even if it's certified, it still causes deforestation because let's say that a logging company gets certification to go into an area of primeval long rainforest and take out X number of ipe trees. Now, there's one ipe tree every hectare, which means that
How big is a hectare?
a hectare is somewhere like an acre. There's somewhere between 1 ipe per hectare and 1 ipe per acre. Right. So to go in, you have to cut a road into the forest to get this tree. The trees don't live at the edge of the forest. They live deep inside. So you have to cut a road into the forest, get the tree, cut what's useful from the tree, cut everything in the way between the entry and the tree, then keep building a road and keep going so that the road is big enough to hold the skids and pull this massive giant out. This is an emergent tree, which means, as I said last time, it stands high over the forest canopy. And it's beautiful. It has flowers. It's just an incredibly beautiful tree. So cut the road, and then they take their quota of ipe and they pull out, but the road is left behind. Now we're talking about primary rainforest. This is not a plantation.
So they're fragmenting the ecosystem while they're at it.
Yes, and they're leaving a road behind. So who comes in and uses that road, right? Not a certified logger, but an opportunistic logging company.
Right.
So then you have deforestation, clear cutting, taking everything they can, using it maybe to try to grow food, cattle. The ground itself is not where the action is. It's in the trees. It's in the roots of the trees. The trees are standing on their fingertips. The action is in the air.
It's amazing, for all the biodiversity in the tropical rainforest, the soil is very shallow.
Yeah, it's all there.
It's constantly being renewed and used up, and it's not a whole lot of soil. We think of our trees where the roots go, many feet deep, and there's soil all there. Not down there, there isn't.
No, let me tell you about the biodiversity of the rainforest. This is amazing. Some scientists wanted to see, we don't know how many species of anything there are on this planet. I mean, we may have gotten 1%, 10%. We have no idea. But one of the most diverse creatures on Earth is the beetle. Uncounted species of beetles. So
Darwin said God must be inordinately fond of beetles because there's so many of them.
Yeah, well, yeah, and we love the Beatles, right? They just turned 50 years old. So, yeah, that's what. Well, so they went in, and as modern science does, we study things by killing them. So they fogged an emergent tree, another old fellow, and all the life fell out of the tree, and they studied the species that they found on the ground, and they found 1,800 species, not individuals, species of beetles in this one tree that they had never seen before, ever. They said, wow, 1,800 species in this one tree. That's probably what's all around the area. They went another 50 meters, which is less than the distance between First Avenue and Second Avenue. They went another 50 meters into the forest, found another tree, fogged it. They found 1,400 new creatures, 1,400 new species. 80% of those, that is, they found 1,400 species of beetles. 80% of them were new, even to the ones they just found 50 meters away. It's mind-boggling.
And biodiversity is more important than biomass when it comes to climate, because a forest, an intact forest with a lot of different kinds of plants, actually gives off more oxygen and takes in more carbon dioxide than the same amount of trees if it's all one kind of tree.
Yeah.
There's a wonderful study at Columbia a few years ago where they partitioned a meadow and they counted how much oxygen came out. And it's amazing what biodiversity means to this planet. And wind patterns, and we're going to get to wind in a minute with David. Wind patterns are what drive the weather. It drives the climate throughout the whole world. The winds, now we know that the winds go from west to east in our hemisphere, and down near Florida in the hurricane zone, they go from east to west.
Right.
The hurricanes come from off of Africa and come up, and hit Florida and the Gulf. And the wind patterns drive all of this stuff. And wind is caused by the uneven heating of the globe. So when you have one part of the Earth absorbing more energy from the sun than another part, the air starts to move. And then you add the spinning of the Earth, and now you have wind patterns. And so weather moves with those wind patterns. So when you cut out miles and miles of rainforest, and in the case of Long Beach's boardwalk, it's 2.5 miles long, and they had to have several miles, I'm serious, several miles of rainforest had to be cut down to make that boardwalk. That is a big change in weather patterns, and we're going to feel those changes up here. So the very reason that Long Beach needed to get a new boardwalk,
Right.
which is a giant storm came in, storms that are made more powerful by climate chaos and more numerous by climate chaos, they're actually contributing to having to replace that boardwalk again. Now, no politician, nobody wants to have to spend that money over and over again. So they really should have spent it wisely. I don't think that people who made that decision knew. I don't think they went, let's get rid of some of the boardwalks, so we'll have to buy boardwalks every few years. I think they didn't know. And that is the motivation for this town meeting that mostly JK put together. She's been an absolutely amazing woman putting together this town meeting at the Long Beach Public Library this Saturday from 1 to 4 p.m.
Thank you, but they did know because they passed a law back in 2001 that committed to only not any harvesting of any materials would be done in an environmentally sustainable way. They knew, they were told. And the thing about the politicians, I'm going to be brief.
Yeah, because actually, I'm going to cut you off and bring David in because we've been talking about problems. Let's talk about solutions. David, what is one of the solutions that you know about?
So one of the cool things I think, especially about Long Beach, is a great example of a community that really got hurt by climate change. And as they rebuild, they're trying to figure out how do we rebuild smarter. And there's a proposed wind farm, maybe just 15 miles off of Long Beach, which is kind of an amazing example of the opportunity we have here to kind of move from dirty, polluting fossil fuels to new renewable energy. And so, I think JK brought up a good point of, with the boardwalk, they just wanted to rebuild and get it done quickly. But now I think they're spending a little more time. They're kind of slowing down as they've gotten the basic stuff down. And I've heard a lot of talk in the community about we need to move renewables forward. And I think I'm excited about this community meeting to have that discussion and see where the community's at on this, because this wind farm is the size of a power plant. It can power 100 to 300,000 homes depending on the size. And so we have some really cool opportunities.
Did you say 300,000 homes?
Yeah, up to that much. Yeah.
So the population of Long Beach is only 40,000. So
yeah, it would power. So Con Ed and LIPA have already agreed to purchase power from it. So you'd be powering homes in New York City and Long Island. It would be. It's not just for Long Beach, actually. It's a really exciting project.
Yeah, it certainly is. I look forward to hearing really great details on it. And we only have another few minutes left of the show. So, David, you'll have all the information about where they're going to put it, why they're going to do it, or why they're not going to do it with you in Long Beach this Saturday, right?
Yep, I'll have that, as long as just sort of a sort of bigger picture as well of what's going on in New York with wind, why we haven't quite done it yet, and what needs to get done. Because
cool.
I think you had mentioned it, some of the building political support for this and making sure that our governor is on board, our elected officials are really behind this is what we sort of need to take it over the ledge so that we actually can get it done.
And also on the show is WBAI's new program director.
Interim, that's how we make them.
Okay, interim.
Yeah, you're right.
You're right. And
well, I just wanted to, first of all, we're in pledge mode, and we're trying something new. We're trying to multitask, which is to keep the programs intact because the program is the premium. And so we need you to call. If you support this, 212-209-2950. It is, I have been covering environmental issues I think my first story was when I was 17. I'm 58 now, when they were trying to transport atomic waste to Barnesville, South Carolina via Route 17. And the area edition and the professionalism with which you go about getting this information week after week. If somebody misses a newspaper and they can't stay on top of it because they're trying to make a living or they're taking care of their kids, they can come here and know they're going to get a compendium because you take such time and you understand these things inside and out. So you're such a clear communicator about it.
Well, thank you.
And that's something that you just don't see around. And so the other thing that we're really making a commitment to is watershed-based reporting, something that you've been doing. This station with 50,000 watts has, a piece of the 4 states. That's 4 of the original 13 colonies. And they have watersheds. And what we hope to do is create a watershed system of community of correspondence, if you will. We've already started doing that. We got a call from the Delaware Riverkeeper to tell us about this application by the Coast Guard to get the rulemaking so that they could actually haul a radioactive toxic fracking waste on U.S. surface waters. And she said, well, we've been listening to you for 40 years. So we have this tremendous opportunity here to build. And also, I think we've talked about the fact that you're not going to alternate anymore. Green Street, which is now being rebranded as Tipping Point. Each one of these shows is going to have its own distinct hour each week. And I think that that's the least we can do, because we are really at a point where the balance of power between labor and capital and labor and the environment, clearly, as you say all the time, it's not sustainable. It's taking a tremendous toll out of humanity and out of the natural systems. And this is where the pushback starts. So please, if you want to support this platform and all the other groups, because you see, this is a nexus for this information. It's not just supporting Ecologic. It's supporting all the groups that are discussed here, all the places that get sustained by listening to the program. So please have this ripple effect. Get it moving forward. 212-209-2950. Thanks so much for letting me participate.
It's 212-209-2950. And become a member of WBAI. It's $25 to become a member. You can pledge for more. If you go to give to WBAI.org, there's actually a few episodes of Ecologic that you can give if you want to give a little extra beyond $25 and get there's 4 different episodes of Ecologic that are available to you as a premium. And it's I think they're $35 each or something like that. So it's not too much more than the $25 because I want to get the information out there. And you can, when you call 212-209-2950, you can ask them, what episodes of Ecologic are there? What are they about? And the person at the call center will let you know. And what's also cool, of course, is they'll be finding out themselves what's available. I wonder if any of the call center people have ever become members of BAI from finding out what we do through your calls to them. David, you have anything to add to what Bob was saying?
Yeah, I just want to say, a show like this is actually, I think, a rare thing you wouldn't find on most other radio stations. So if whoever's listening, I would definitely put in a call or go online, because this is a great opportunity to talk about these issues that most people don't get to have.
Yeah, I would say $35 is not much to keep this very rare opportunity alive. Absolutely.
So again, the town meeting is this Saturday. And we forgot to mention there's going to be music. We're opening at 1 o'clock, and there'll be music playing as you're coming in. There's a literature table, so you can pick up a lot of information, take it with you, and share it with friends and family. There'll be a couple speakers, and then more music, and then a couple more speakers, and then more music, and then a cantastoria. Kim does wonderful stuff with that. So there's a lot of... we're trying not to make it 3 hours of just people talking, because that can get tedious no matter how good they are.
But it's not 3 hours of people talking, because people are going to be asking questions from the audience. It's a speak out. It's a town meeting. And I'm sure we're going to get some good questions. The music's going to be folk. We're going to have rock and roll. We're going to have medieval art performance. That's the Consistory. If you want to know what that is, you have to come. And classical.
Yeah, folk and rock, which is kind of neat. We're having Long Island musicians and Sue Polo, and the Broadcasting on the Beach Band,
Yeah.
which if you listen to Long Beach's own radio station, you've heard them before. And it is 8:28, and we have to get ready for Green Street. And during this fund drive, Ecologic, instead of being on every other week or only once, will be on every week from 8 to 8:30. And then Green Street will follow me from 8:30 to 9. So that'll be for the entire month. The weekly format of both Ecologic and Green Street with their new name, Tipping Point. When that'll start, I don't know. But whenever it is, it'll be right here on WBAI New York, 99.5 FM and WBAI.org. So thank you, JK, and thank you, David. And look forward to hearing both of you in the Long Beach Public Library this Saturday from 1 to 4. That's Long Beach, Long Island, not Long Beach, California.